Test, can everybody hear me okay? Alright. Welcome aboard the Remembrance Bar. Again, my name is Admirals Boathouse Tour. We're doing some recording for you. How's everybody enjoying the tour so far? Really good? A lot of good information? Any good jokes? Take that as a no? Alright, well don't worry, I got plenty of good jokes for you. A lot of good information too. So, since we're on an official military vessel, we use proper military terminology. Does everybody know what side the port side is? The left side as you're sitting. How about the starboard side? Good guess, off the way. Alright, how about man overboard and man the ship? Alright, quick show of hands. Now it's not time to be shy. Who cannot swim? Alright, so if you turn around, right behind me is the life ring. The only thing that my partner does less well than swim is share. So how would be faster than he is, okay? Just kidding, we have enough life jackets on board for everybody. Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody know what side the starboard side is? You can look off that direction. Behind this tree line you see, military officer housing, we call them a group point. Now in the early days of Pearl Harbor, naval pilots and their families, when stationed on Ford Island, would live in those houses. Now prior to the bridge off your port side being built, for those same sailors to get back and forth to work every day, you used to have to take a ferry system. Not too bad of a commute, better than being stuck in traffic on H1 every day. So if we look off to the port side, back to the bridge I was just briefly mentioning, this is commonly referred to as the Ford Island Bridge because it leads from the main part of Oahu over to Ford Island. It's actually called the Admiral Bridge. And as you can see, it has a very unique design, what's called a floating retractable pontoon style. There are only two bridges like this in the entire United States. This one here and one in the state of Washington. This is the larger of the two. This bridge was built in 1998. Now it's named after a famed World War II submarine hero here in the Pacific, Admiral Bernard Chick Clary. After World War II, Admiral Clary became the Vice Chief of Naval Operations as well as St. Fleet or Commander-in-Chief of Pacific Fleet from 1970 to 1973. Now that we're a little further along the bridge, you see this portion looks like it's touching the water. I'd like to let you know that it's made of hollowed out concrete, has some flotation devices as well as material on the inside. It actually floats just on the surface. Now using hydraulic cables, those cables pull the pontoon portion back to the left or behind or underneath the raised portion of the bridge. It takes about 45 minutes to fully open and again 45 minutes to fully close. Now it only opens 2 to 3 times a year for maintenance. And then again on December 7th, so that way it allows an active duty U.S. Navy vessel through the bridge so it can pass by the Arizona, render honors to her, and then head out to sea. So ladies and gentlemen, we look off to the starboard side, you see some of those buildings right there. You might see the Macy's logo and the Sears logo. Squirrel Ridge Mall has absolutely nothing to do with the tour. But if you think we did a good enough job, we will accept gift cards. My favorite restaurant, Chili's, is right over there. Just kidding. The reason we point this area out is because I'd like to point out how well Pearl Harbor has thrived since the attack. Because at the time of the attack, all the buildings you see there and most of the houses along the hillside weren't there at the time. It was all agriculture. It had sugarcane fields, rice paddies, as well as pineapple fields. So you can see how far Pearl Harbor's come since the attack. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, back to the port side. We're now adjacent to Ford Islands. Everybody know how Ford Island got its name? Obviously somebody named Ford, right? Yeah. Well, I'd like to tell you that the Hawaiian name for it is Moku Ume Ume, which translated means the island of attraction. Now it's named Ford Island after a Dr. Seth Ford was a Boston-born physician who practices medicine at the Honolulu Insane Asylum and Siemens Hospital in the mid-1800s. Now it's rumored that Dr. Ford received this island as a wedding present when he married into the royal monarch family. Anybody else get an island as a wedding gift? Yeah, my wife's still waiting on hers too. Well, ladies and gentlemen, sometime after Dr. Ford passed away, the Army purchased the island for $236,000, and in 1917 he established Luke Airfield in honor of World War I aviator Frank Luke. And then in the 1930s, possession and ownership of the island was transferred to the U.S. Navy when he established Ford Island Naval Air Station. Now, if you think about it, $236,000 isn't a whole lot of money, really, in today's money, but in 1917, it actually equates to today's money about $8.4 to $8.6 million. So a pretty good turnaround. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, some trivia time. There were several movies as well as a TV show filmed on Ford Island. Would anybody like to take a guess which ones those were? Yes, ma'am, Pearl Harbor is one of them, but one of the more famous ones. Tor is one of them. You also had In Harm's Way starring John Wayne. You had a few scenes from Battleship, Jurassic World, and Aloha. And the TV show was Hawaii Five-0. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, off to the starboard side ahead of us, you see this mountain range. That is the Waianae Mountain Range for those that did not know. If you look to the far right-hand side, you see what looks like a forward and an aft mountain. Now in between this is a valley called the Koli Koli Pass. Now, in the movie Pearl Harbor, there's a scene where Japanese pilots fly real low over the field, buzz the mom while she's hanging a wash on the line. I'd like to point out that even though that was in the movie, there's no historical evidence to support the claim that they actually used it, so that has become an enduring myth here in Pearl Harbor. Going along your port side, a very long pier. It's one of two carrier piers placed here in Pearl Harbor. This particular pier was placed here in the 1950s to accommodate the Essex class carrier. Now it is large enough to accommodate any aircraft carrier in today's fleet as well. Now, prior to this pier, there were concrete blocks known as mooring quays and mooring keys, such as that one right there. They were placed here that way they were placed for ships to tie up to. Now, an example of some of the ships that are tied up here prior to the pier, you had USS Detroit, which escaped damage, as well as the USS Raleigh, which was severely damaged during the attack. Now, had the two aircraft carriers, USS Lexington and Enterprise, been in port on that fateful morning, this is the area of the island that they'd have been moored up at. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, we have slowed down so we can make our approach safely to the first memorial of the day, USS Utah Memorial. Now, due to the fact that Ford Island is still an active military base and not open to the general public, USS Utah Memorial actually received the nickname the Forgotten Memorial. As we're making our approach, I'd like to stress the point that we are the only waterborne tour in the entire island that gets to see both the Utah as well as Nevada memorials. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, as we're making our way past the memorial, I'd like to point out that what you see today was established as a direct result of Utah Senator Moss, who in 1972 campaigned for fitting remembrance of 58 men that lost their lives on the Utah during the early Mossy attack. Now, the Utah is a former battleship that in 1931 she was converted into an auxiliary gunnership and target training vessel. Navy pilots will sharpen their bombing skills by dropping 5-pound practice bombs on our reinforced decks. Now, she was struck by 2 torpedoes below the waterline, causing her rapidly to flow to the water, ultimately causing her to capsize or completely roll over. Now, she's partially righted, laying on the port side approximately 35 feet of water due to a failed salvage operation in July of 1944. So out of 450 crewmen on board at the time of the attack, 58 men lost their lives. There are still 54 entombed in the ship today. There also happened to be a baby girl entombed in the ship. Chief Yeoman Albert T.D. Wagner had the ashes of one of his twin baby daughters who had passed away during childbirth in an urn in his footlocker. He was waiting for the Utah to head out to sea so he could spray the ashes while at sea. Now, unfortunately, baby girl's ashes went down with the ship. Now, Navy divers tried to retrieve the urn but were unsuccessful due to severe damage of the vessel. So today we like to say there's a baby girl in Utah being guarded by 54 with the Navy's finest. There's also a little trivia fact for you. The surviving twin sister, and she comes out every December 6th, holds her own little private ceremony there near the water's edge. That way she doesn't take anything away from what happens on the 7th during our commemoration. So if you continue to look off to your port side, you see a couple of these buildings near the water's edge. These are actually a composite of early Army and Navy hangar bays that service both the PPY patrol planes as well as the police carrier aircraft. Now, you might notice the large building with all the shiny windows, fairly recent, about 7 to 8 years built. They actually took 2 hangar bays, converted into one large building. That's actually the Pacific headquarters for NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, look onto your starboard side. You see a portion of the Pearl City Peninsula. Now, today the Pearl City Peninsula is set aside as a site for government warehouses as well as military housing. However, back in 1941, this was the site for the Pan Am Clipper facility, which included piers for mooring aircraft, as well as hotels for crew members and guests to stay overnight. Now, as you can see, adjacent to the Pearl City Peninsula is a body of water known as Middle Lock. Now, today, Middle Lock has been set aside by the U.S. Navy as an anchorage point for all our decommissioned ships, in which we call the mothball fleet. Now, the ships that you see out there have been stripped of all critical components, both inside and out, and some of them are actually waiting to be used in another day of need. So instead of the Navy building a brand new ship from the keel up, spending billions of dollars and millions of man hours, actually go out to one of the many mothball fleets that we own, such as this one, and outfit one of those ships from the latest technology. And an example of that, USS Missouri was first decommissioned in 1955, just after the Korean War. She was brought back into commission in 1986 when she was outfitted with Tomahawk cruise missiles, and then she saw action during the first Persian Gulf War. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, back off to your port side, you see the only 10-star hotel resort in the entire island. As you can see, they have great security with the barbed wire fencing. Now, I hear that on the inside they have 3 spring rooms a day, hot for you to sleep in. Good behavior to come outside with a little steam office and break time. It's a military jail. It's also called the brig. I personally don't know too much more about the inside workings, but if you're talking about the partner, Pastor Muniak, you got it, what, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago. Also, as you can see, strategically placed, keyword, strategically placed right next to the brig, is military officer housing for 06 and below. Ladies and gentlemen, continue to look off to your port side as we make our way around to the back side of Port Island. You might notice some concrete ramps placed sporadically along those water's edge. Now, those ramps are actually placed there that way the PPY patrol planes that used to be stationed on Port Island had a way of taxiing on and off the runways for takeoff and landing. However, by 1952, jet aircraft were replacing most of the propeller-driven aircraft in the fleet. Since the runways on Port Island were too short for jet aircraft to use, the Naval Air Station Port Island was then shortly decommissioned. Last set of houses and a couple of these trees, you actually see a pretty good view of the old Naval Air Station Port Island. As a matter of fact, our course we're currently driving on actually runs perpendicular to the way the runways run down the length of Port Island. Quick show of hands, you've ever seen Pearl Harbor? Alright, keep coming with us today. You might know one of our local movie stars, the large white tower. They take us in a minute, like some kids run around, yelling at you, do this, do that, shotgun. Started shooting at Japanese airplanes with a shotgun. Never later once. Just kept on shooting. It's actually the reason I joined the military. military flag does this. Looks at a watch on his wrist. Happens to be digital. They do a little bit of homework there. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, ahead of us, you see the only one entrance and exit to Pearl Harbor. It's about 800 feet wide. The Navy used about 400 foot of it for navigational purposes. I'm heading away to make a move. So anywhere between growing high tide, you can see anywhere between 35 to 45 foot of depth. Now at the higher tides, our larger ships, maybe some small ships, as well as our aircraft carriers are waiting their way in and out of port. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, quick show of hands. Who knows what a Battle of the Bands is? It's a big band competition, you play best piece of music. Alright, how about a fast cruise? Anybody know what a fast cruise is? Alright, well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about both. I'd like to start the next memorial, USS Nevada Memorial, coming up to it shortly. Now, before we get there, I'd like to set the scene a little bit. Saturday the 6th, night prior to the attack, was a Battle of the Bands, a big band competition held at Pearl Harbor's Block Arena. Now, it came down to the USS Nevada's band winning the competition. They actually beat the USS Arizona's band. Now, the Arizona and their crew thought that they should have won. Now, like any other jealous sailor I've ever met in my illustrious career, you beat my team, I'm going to fight you. Well, I'd like to tell you that a fight actually did break out in the parking lot of Pearl Harbor's Block Arena. Now, the commanding officer and command duty officers of each ship brought their entire crew on board for overnight what's known as a fast cruise. In 1941, a fast cruise was a form of punishment. Everybody comes on board, you do all your underway watch stations, and no one gets to go home until the captain is happy. Well, today the Navy has set aside fast cruise, pretty much the same thing. It's not a form of punishment, it's actually for training nowadays. That way we can be better prepared for when casualties happen, like on the 7th. Now, with that being said, there were no other ships tied up along the USS Nevada. She was actually moored at the end of Battleship Road, at the very end of the South Channel, currently ahead of us. Now, she had tied just after USS Arizona. She was struck by a torpedo to her port side bow, which cut a 48-foot by 25-foot hole in her side. Now, quick reference, the vessel you're on today is 40 feet in length, so you can see how large a hole that really was. Now, quick thinking personnel were able to counterflood and correct the ship's list and actually preventing her from sinking at her mooring keys. The commanding officer of the Nevada was actually on leave on the morning of the 7th. So command of the ship fell down to the command duty officer, which was the senior officer on watch, which happened to be Lieutenant Commander Thomas. Now, Mr. Thomas made the decision at 8:45 to cut all mooring ties, make a guiding run down the South Channel, now ahead of us, out to the main channel entrance, currently behind us. As he did so, Japanese pilots tried to bomb them in the harbor. Had they been successful, they would have blocked the South Channel, leaving the North Channel, where we originally came from, as the only avenue of approach or exit to Pearl Harbor. Now, making the decision that most ship drivers try to never do, they actually decided to beach themselves at Hospital Point. So off to the starboard side, you see the outer fringe of the old Naval Hospital quarters. Near the water's edge is a flagpole and a marker which commemorates the guiding run to the open sea made by the Nevada. Honors those men on board that passed away during the attack. Also honors 2 men who received the Medal of Honor, Chief Warrant Officer Edwin J. Hill and Machinist Donald K. Ross. Now, additionally, 14 other crew members received the Navy Cross for all their heroic actions. Now, a quick reference back to the movie Pearl Harbor. The scene when everything starts blowing up and you see all the nurses and the doctors running out of the houses. It's supposed to represent the houses you see along the water's edge. I'm rocking a little bit. Anybody get seasick? Anybody take one of those buckets off the quarterdeck? Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, look off to the starboard side, you see this tree line near the water's edge. Behind that you see a parking lot. That's the approximate location of where the Naval Hospital was located in 1941. A year later, in 1942, the hospital was closed and moved to Aiea to become the Aiea Naval Hospital, which now has become Camp Smith, also known as ACOM headquarters. Now, the Naval Hospital was permanently closed in 1948 when Triple Army Medical Center was opened to service all armed service members here in Oahu. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, for everybody taking pictures and videos, once we pass through the security barrier, we ask that no more photographs or videos be taken off to your starboard side. Now, you're more than welcome to take any and all photographs off to your port side that you like. Now, if you need a couple action shots, I got one for you. This one here, you ready? Looks like I'm telling you something. And I got this one here. My wife's personal favorite. Now, if you're tired of taking photographs of me, you can turn right around. Take couple photographs of my coxswain. He's a pretty photogenic guy, like right there. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, look off to the starboard side, you see Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard. Now, the Japanese forces bombed several ships tied up to these piers and also slightly damaged several repair shops. Now, fortunately, the shipyard wasn't too badly damaged. They would turn around and make thousands of repairs on all the battle-damaged ships here in the harbor. As a matter of fact, this harbor witnessed the greatest maritime salvage in human history. Out of 21 vessels that had either been severely damaged or completely sunk, all but 3 were returned to service. Now, USS Utah, USS Arizona still rests in the hollowed waters of Pearl Harbor where they serve their country today. USS Oklahoma, the 3rd vessel, was raised but not returned to service. Now, in light of the new Iowa-class battleships, like the Missouri, being the new vanguard for technology, the Oklahoma was not needed. She was then sold for scrap, and then in 1947 she was undertowed, headed to the California scrapyard, when she sunk in a severe storm 500 miles southeast of the island of Hawaii, where her wreckage still rests today. There are no videos or pictures. Now, the shipyard's motto is to keep them fit to fight. It's actually home to our modern-day surface ships as well as our nuclear-powered submarines, which, due to operational security reasons, is why we ask that no photographs or videos be taken at all to your starboard side. Now, as you can see along the side of the permanent shipyard building, it says Pearl Harbor, the Navy's no priority shipyard, which translated means the Navy's finest or #1 shipyard. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, back off to the port side, you start to see some of these large concrete blocks. These are more mooring keys or mooring plates. Now, these particular ones were placed here during the 1930s to accommodate the great battleships of the Pacific Fleet. Now, this impressive anchorage is known as Battleship Row. Now, although they are painted white, and some of them have names on the side, starting with the USS California, BD-44, coming up here shortly. They're not memorials, they're only reference points of what ship was moored where during the attack. Now, USS California is actually the beginning of Battleship Row. As a matter of fact, a little trivia fact for you guys, USS California was actually the first ship to sound their general quarters alarm seconds prior to the first explosion. Now, behind the mooring key for the California, you see the white boats that the visitor center uses. That's the Port Island Boathouse, where the region command barge is normally stored at. As a matter of fact, you see this building that's raised up out of the water with the awning off to the left and the right. It would normally be positioned to the left of that. It's actually the shipyard for maintenance. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of good information was covered about the USS Missouri back in the museum. I'd like to point out she's coming up along your port side. Now, the Grand Warship and Mighty Boat, there's a lot of great accolades as far as the wars she's been a part of, but got a lot of other good information, such as, did you know she's a movie star as well as a music video star? Anybody like to take a guess what some of those were?
Cher.
She was in Cher's If I Could Turn Back Time music video. Highly controversial back in the 80s because she was scantily clad, dancing around the topside area with some of the sailors. She even rode around on one of the gun turrets, I do believe. Would you like to take a guess at some of the movies? She was in 3 of them. She was in Battleship, yes, most recently. She was in Under Siege, starring Steven Seagal, Tommy Lee Jones, and Gary Busey. And the 3rd movie that most people forget, she was in An Officer and a Gentleman, starring Richard Gere and Louis Gossett Jr. Now, on the fantail, or the back portion of the ship, you see this large white awning. This awning has been placed there and reserved for military functions, retirements, commissionings, change of commands, things like that. Now, the vessel itself was actually towed here from the Puget Sound Mothball Fleet in 1998 to serve purpose as a memorial museum. And her current mooring site, the former mooring sites for the USS Maryland and USS Oklahoma. Now, up on the 01 veranda deck, you can see that large awning behind the 2nd gun turret is actually the site where the signing of the instrument of surrender took place. There are 2 copies on board, one in English and one in Japanese. and gentlemen, as you can see, we're starting to make our approach towards the Arizona Memorial at this time. Now, as we do so, we ask everybody, please remain seated for your safety. Now, the memorial is considered sacred ground, so we ask you to keep your conversations and voices low until minimum. If you're using cell phones to take photographs or video, please put them on silent or vibrate mode. Now, for anyone wearing a hat, please remove your hat before you step foot onto the memorial. National Park Service has a rule about bags, so please leave all forms of bags, purses, backpacks, fanny packs, camera cases on the barge. Don't worry, we're only going to go through them once or twice for candy. Just kidding, we're not going to mess with yourself. So what's going to happen is we're going to moor up, and if the barge behind us decides to land, then we're going to see us leave. Don't worry, we will come back to get you. Now, if the other barge doesn't land, we'll stay there the whole time. Any questions? Good? All right.
at the water right here, you see the oil.
Yeah, I can see the oil
comes up sporadically.
It was just filled, days before.
Since 1941.
Ecological disaster waiting to happen when this thing breaks. I still figure there's a lot of it anyway.
Yeah. So even though ecologically it's not a good thing, they allow it for special consideration.
They're working to try to pull it out, it'll break.
You just see the outline of the ship there. You'll see the oil come up.
I can smell it.
Yeah, see it right there?
Yeah, I can smell it when I was on this side.
Sporadically, you'll see it come up. About every 10 seconds. See, there's another one out there.
I can totally smell it. I'm surprised we couldn't just go down and siphon it out and put it in a different ship that was getting sent out. Instead of waiting to be restocked.
You can just see the outline. You see the brown ones.
That's a lot. That's a big one.
That's the coolest thing, yeah.
You still see the cables.
Yeah.
Boy, you can really smell the oil right here.
I know.
Some kind of shrine on the island there. Looks interesting.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if that's why.
Is this our barge coming back? Or is that the other one? That's the other one, huh? We got the eclipse coming up in August.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
one every 4 years. So it could be, like if you have 3, it could be 12, 13, 14, 15. So you would get us the next one at 16. How many's it got? 4? So between 16 and 20.
Gentlemen, he was able to raise $100,000 out of the $500,000 needed to fund the memorial project. Now, unfortunately, the fundraising drive stalled a little bit, so using a one-night only benefit concert held at Block Arena, the King Elvis Presley was able to come in, throw down a good concert, and was able to raise an additional $64,000 towards the completion of the memorial project. Now, unfortunately, the fundraising drive stalled again at about $250,000, but at this time, the Kennedy administration was able to pass money through Congress with additional money from the state of Hawaii. Together, they were able to make the dream of the memorial come true. Ships off the west coast when they go on their Western Pacific or Westpac deployments. Now, it is large enough to accommodate 2 of our aircraft carriers at the same time, one on each side of the pier. Now, it's commonly referred to as hotel pier because all the hotel services are visiting ships. For example, you have sewage disposal, fresh water, you have food for your galley and vending machines, and more importantly for the younger generation, you have internet. That big building is with the mural on the side. You can see how far back the water actually goes up towards Cam Highway. Now, the area where the visitor center buildings are located was actually not here during the attack. It was actually underwater. They brought a landfill in, tons of dirt and rock, built the land up. Once the land was structurally sound to build on top of, they then built the buildings. And then, in 1980, the National Park Service was actually mandated by Congress to take over actions and operations of both the memorial as well as the Shoreside Visitor Center. Now, cooperation with some fine Navy folks, those are the gentlemen and the gals that actually drive the white boats to and from every day. Average visitation each year is about 1.5 million people. Now, then on top of that, if you average in all the tours that we do down at the boathouse, we add another 16,000 or so each year. Alright, so this time, ladies and gentlemen, you may now actually take photographs off both sides of the vessel again. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, if you look off to the starboard side near the shoreline, here shortly you'll see one of 3 anchors that were salvaged off the USS Arizona. Now, the other 2 are actually in the state of Arizona. One is at the state capitol building, and the third is actually on the campus grounds of the University of Arizona. And of course, to the left of the visitor center, you have the former World War II submarine, USS Bowfin, and the Submarine Museum. As we're making our drift on up and around, you'll notice this flagpole near the water's edge. As you look at it, you might notice there are some headstones. There are actually 53 headstones that encircle the flagpole. 52 of those represents each one of the U.S. submarines lost in the Pacific during World War II. The 53rd represents collectively all the men from those submarines. Everybody get a good photo? Good to go? Alright. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as my partner turns into the wake so we don't get waked out too bad, and we'll start making our way back to the boathouse, what we're going to do is we're going to actually take a right-hand turn or a starboard turn underneath the bridge. As we do so, once we've made the turn, off to your port side will be a great photo opportunity for the bookends of World War II for the U.S., where the U.S. was first involved to attack Pearl Harbor and the loss of the Arizona with the Arizona Memorial, and the ultimate end of the war with the signing of the instrument of surrender held on board the USS Missouri. Now, shortly right after that photo opportunity, continuously off to your port side, for those that are mechanically inclined or interested in mechanical feats of engineering, a closer view of the pontoon portion and the underworkings of the bridge as we pass by. You can see where the bridge works, the pontoon portion. Hydraulic cable, pull it back away, actually to that second pillar off to the starboard side. Again, it takes about 45 minutes to fully open and fully close. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, look off to the starboard side, off in the far distance. You see another mountain range. That's the Koilau mountain range. That's where the second wave of the Japanese forces used for cover during their attack run. Now, just in front of that, you see the top of Aloha Stadium, where the University of Hawaii Fighting Warriors host our home football games every year. Most recently, we used to host a Pro Bowl for the NFL. Now, for those that don't know, if you're not normally stationed here or don't live here, Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays, there's a swap meet held over there. Look for some good, cheaply priced souvenirs to send back home for your friends and family. Remember, Christmas is coming back around. Dig a little deep, you find some good handcrafted shipping there as well. Now, we actually have an added bonus on today's tour. This is normally not seen today, but today you get a good shot. You look off to the starboard side, you see all those sailboats. And look way in the back, there's one. Looks like he's having a Mai Tai. That's actually the entire Pacific Coast Guard fleet. As you can see off the port side, some are doing some roving patrol out there for you, keeping the harbor safe. Just kidding, it's actually Rainbow Bay Marina. So it's operated by the MWR. You can actually rent one of those boat slips for your personal boat at a much lower cost than going downtown Waikiki. As well as a little further over, the smaller ones, you can actually go through Rainbow Bay Marina itself. And actually, for about $50 a week or so, you can actually take sailing lessons and learn how to sail on a sailboat. And then once you get certified, you can come back, rent one of their boats, come out here and sail around for a little bit. Please be careful though, because when we're coming through here, we like to drive like we stole it, so please be mindful. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, this does conclude your tour of Pearl Harbor. I'd like to say thank you for coming out and spending your afternoon with us. Today we had the opportunity to see 3 key memorials dedicated to the attack of Pearl Harbor: USS Utah, USS Nevada, and then of course spending a few moments on the USS Arizona Memorial itself. Now, on behalf of your host, Admiral Swift, Commander U.S. Pacific Fleet, the rest of the Boathouse crew, your coxswain, and myself, thank you for coming out. Please remember Pearl Harbor and mahalo.
Thank you.
Thank you.